LL, also known as Lorelei, is ridiculously overpowered. She fills the role of a buffer, a center who provides buffs to other centers, empowering her allies to reach greater heights. It's pretty well known that buffers are the cornerstone of high-end teams in Path to Nowhere. You either run Empower and feed all of your energy to one center, or you run Last Stand and spend all of your time microing one center. Either way, there's going to be one, maybe two centers who are doing the majority of the damage. So, if there's only two centers doing all of the damage, who do you run in the other four slots? Well, one of them could be a healer. You could run a core breaker, maybe two core breakers, maybe three core breakers, who knows. But neither of those contribute to your damage. And a lot of content in Path to Nowhere is about maximizing your damage, usually under some form of timer. The only way we can really push this damage is to provide buffs to those damage dealers. This is where Lorelei comes in. While most well known for her energy distribution, Lorelei also increases skill damage and even provides a small attack boost. Note that attack boosts are especially potent because attack bonuses are applied before defense is calculated, rather than after defense is calculated. This is unique to attack buffs and ends up being a pretty big deal. With this in mind, Lorelei is going to increase somebody's skill damage by 30% and their attack by 10%. The total bonuses here change based on your opponent's defense and your current attack bonuses, but sample calculations place at roughly 45% damage boost. 45% more damage is a lot. Just take a look at how hard Yao hits and ask yourself if you'd like that to do 45% more. Let's also note that this damage buff lasts for the entire stage and doesn't wear off like Cabernet, Enfer, Thistle, or other supportive options. Lasting the entire stage, it comes in handy, it really does. Okay, all of this, and we haven't even hit on Lorelei's primary draw yet. All of that damage is a happy consequential bonus. What we're really after here is that SP distribution. Do you like Empower? Do you like being able to overcap your energy? Do you like being able to jumpstart any center and get them online well before they have any right to be? Well, Lorelei is your girl. She hands out, depending on your shackles and or ECB stacks, anywhere from 12 is a ridiculous number, to 24, I can't even believe that's a real number, to 24 SP. Even at the baseline 12, that's more than an Empower. Lorelei hands out more energy than the most widely used chief ability. It's ridiculous. We used to have to run Irene if we wanted to hand out SP like this, and it didn't even come close to this. We were kind of just like huffing the copium. But Lorelei stores this SP in a completely different box and at a much better rate, while providing a 45% damage bonus. It's insane. This gives us a lot of freedom in the standard game modes like ROTD, Mania Training, and Store. Handing out a stage-long 45% damage boost and being able to sit on a reserve pool of 40 energy that you can tap into at any time allows you to easily overwhelm whatever the game decides to throw at you. This game isn't designed around the fact that you can just hand out 40 energy, then dump all 4 empowers to give out another 40 energy. It's an overwhelming amount of ultimates that, well, there's almost nothing that can survive that onslaught, especially, again, with the insane damage boost. Okay, let's move on from the regular game modes. We all know that she can pop off in ROT, Mania Training, Story, EX Stage, all the good stuff. But what about BFL? Well, realistically, Lorelei is going to hand out 2 ultimates. Depending on your ECB and shackles, you'll hand out a total of 30 to 40 SP. That's a lot of energy. And in the process of handing out that energy, you're increasing your primary DPS's damage by 45%. Again, that's a lot of damage. Lorelei also has the benefit of being able to jumpstart your team. If there's some early cores or early waves you have to clear, then Lorelei gives you that SP boost you need to do what needs to be done. Buffers are the cornerstone of every BFL team, and Lorelei is, in my opinion, tied for the best buffer. Lorelei is literally the best option on both teams, and there's no one that can do what she does. There's no one that can replace Lorelei. The better your centers are, the better Lorelei becomes. Lorelei is irreplaceable. She is. Okay, let's move on. Let's discuss her flexibility. It's high in some regards and low in others. For some context, Lorelei's best comparison in role competitions are found in Cabernet and Enfer. Cabernet hands out this massive attack buff, and Enfer hands out this large damage boost. Unfortunately for Cabernet, she's almost entirely locked and regulated to boss fights. Don't get me wrong, Cabernet is the best in the business for boss fights, but you're not really going to bring Cabernet to Mania training, ROTD, or story, unless there's some crazy seasonal buff that allows her to operate in that particular season. Enfer is a little bit more splashable, but it's difficult to determine when and where you should be using Enfer's ult. Do I pop it on this elite? Do I pop it on the next elite? What if 2 elites spawn as soon as this ult ends? Enfer relies quite heavily on efficient timings, and those efficient timings are easiest to find in a boss stage. Okay, so Enfer and Cabernet are both best in boss stages, and they get a little murky in regular content. What about Lorelei? Well, Lorelei is good everywhere. We've already discussed what Lorelei can do in non-boss content, being able to overcap your energy, wait for a moment to drop all your cards on the table, and just nuke whatever's on the board. On top of that, Lorelei's buff, unlike Cabernet and Enfer, lasts for the entire battle. There's no timing windows, there's no aw shucks my damage just wore off and there's another elite. Nah, Manti is just always sitting on your hyper carry. The only restriction is that Lorelei really has, the only one that she really has is that she buffs skill damage. And not everybody is doing skill damage. The skill damage counts all damage except for auto attack damage. And there are some sinners, like Corrin, Lady Pearl, Kokalik, Luvia Ray, Nox, and I'm sure there's a ton of others, that do all of their damage in their auto attacks. And thus they receive no benefit from Lorelei. Instead of being stage dependent like Cabernet and Enfer, Lorelei is instead more partner dependent. It isn't that big of a downside, but it is something to keep in mind. With that in mind, let's take a look at our team compositions. Lorelei is almost always ran with a hyper carry. Doesn't really matter which hyper carry, as long as they're using skills and not auto attacks to deal their damage. Pick your favorite ult spammer, pair that ult spammer with Lorelei and other buffers like Cabernet, Enfer, Thistle, and core breakers like Angel, Hecate, Labby, Raven, y'all get the idea, whoever you want. Once you settle on your hyper carry, and once you pair that hyper carry with the necessary amount of core breaking, you can then add Lorelei to the team and any other buffers. And this style of team composition will let you clear all obstacles and really enable your hyper carry to receive buffs and unimpededly spam their ult until the stage is over. The nice thing about Lorelei is that she's future-proof. As we get more and more powerful centers, Lorelei will continue to make the most powerful centers even more powerful. It's very difficult to replace a unit that makes every other strong unit even stronger. As for Crimebrands, Lorelei is typically looking to maximize her energy income. This leaves 3 primary options, although I almost always settle on the classics: Tuning, Hope, and Corridor. This maximizes Lorelei's starting energy, allowing her to provide that stage-long buff at the start of the stage, and get herself and others online before any enemy opposition is able to get out of hand. The other options are Tuning, Ignition, Corridor, which functions with the same idea and is technically a little bit more efficient, but it comes at the cost of being a little bit more mechanically demanding. The last option is Tuning and Inversion Slash. This deviates a little bit from maximizing your initial energy and instead focuses on continual energy income. It maths out to break even after about 20 to 25 seconds of continuous auto attacking, so if you expect the stage to last longer than 30 seconds, ideally in the multiple minute range, then Inversion Slash is the way to go. Remember that energy now is better than energy later, and you need to auto attack targets to keep that energy income going. But when the stages get long, then that continual energy income will eventually be better than maximizing your starting energy. Looking at Lorelei's ideal investment, Lorelei is perfectly fine at S0 and that first ECB. She's just a great character. There are good returns on her ECB 3, though I would suggest you save those resources for your hyper carry instead, especially since most of these newer centers really want their ECB 3. As far as shackles go, Lorelei is a complete character at S0, but she does see massive returns on each and every one of her shackles all the way up to her 4th shackle. Now I don't recommend you go that deep. Again, Lorelei is already completely busted at shackle 0, but if you really like Lorelei and you really want her to pump, or if you're doing some like Giga BFL speedrun max score chasing, then there's a lot of room for your Lorelei to really start pumping those numbers. Just know you might be a whale. I ain't saying it's a bad thing, just letting you know that I know. You feel me? I also want to note that if you do have her ECB 3, then Lorelei pairs really well with centers who don't spend their energy. Think of the Luvia Ray Lamia combo. They rarely spend their energy, and this gives Lorelei a really efficient source to siphon overcap energy back into your hyper carry. This expands her viable team composition a fair bit, especially on rosters where Lorelei is your only buffer. Okay, looking at the tier list, Lorelei is unrivaled power, obviously. She occupies the strongest role and provides the strongest buffs within those roles. She's tied with all the other S-rank damage Emperors, and she's only worse off in those hyper carries that can brute force stages without her. If you want to see more detailed on this list, including explanations, check the description or the clickable link in the end of the video. You'll find the full tier list there. Alright, that's all I got. Bring your LLs, shove all your energy onto your favorite center, accidentally hand out a 45% damage boost that lasts the entire duration of the stage, because why the hell not? And then slam more energy onto your hyper carry whenever the damn well you please. This character is busted, she always been busted, and she always will be busted. I hope you guys leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This style of video takes a ton of time and effort. My name is IDC, I don't care L, whatever you want to call me. I make showcases for Paths of Nowhere, limiting myself to level 70 centers, and now I make character guides. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Pitiful sight. So many broken legs and arms. That's one big mushy mess.